All right, happy Monday and welcome to our comic book news segment for November 10th, 2025. Today we're going to talk about some really interesting stories. The first one is the return of the craziest villain to ever be on the pages of a Marvel comic book. In addition to that, we're going to talk about Magneto's return to the MCU and what the implications are for the Doomsday Avengers movie. And we're going to talk about the menacing looking Joker from the Absolute Batman series, as well as DC's forgotten character that has a lot of potential, and more. All right, so Venom's greatest foe finally returns, but is facing someone much worse. So who are we talking about here? The one and only Knull, the King in Black. The idea of Knull has been around for a long time in the comics because of the all-black Necro Sword, and that is something that we saw in Jason Aaron's run of Thor. Hold on, I gotta let my cat out real quick. And then fast forward to Donny Cates' Venom, we actually got the character who created the all-black Necro Sword, which is Knull. And Knull is basically, he's the king of the void, right? He's the king in black. He is the king of the symbiotes, which is why, of course, this article is showing this wonderful Venom image right here. But where has he been? He's been in an Asgardian prison, guarded by Hela, who's been stealing his powers, which is kind of crazy. And I think what's basically happened here is that she's dubbed herself the Queen in Black. Now, that doesn't mean that the King in Black is not as formidable as he once was. Maybe a little less since his powers have been drained. But I'm really interested to see where this goes. Let's see what else this article says. It's going to be written by Al Ewing and Tom Waltz, which is, I think, absolutely great. It says main cover arts by Ryan Stegman, and Ryan Stegman is one of the best modern comic book artists, in my opinion. I mean, this is going to be awesome. This is coming out in January 2025, I think. So I'm definitely going to be picking this up when it comes out. Yeah, it says Knull 1 goes on sale January 14th, 2026. Yeah, from Marvel Comics. Yeah, here's just a little background on, who Knull is. An ancient entity who existed back when the universe was a mere empty void. Knull's peaceful slumber was abruptly interrupted by the Celestial's light of creation. In response, Knull reached into his own newly formed shadow, and from it, he drew the All Black, the very first symbiote, which he used to lead a deicital campaign against the Celestials across the Marvel universe. So, Knull's taking out Celestials. That's the power level that we're talking about here, which is absolutely insane. When he invaded Earth and Donny Cates' run of Venom, he basically brought with him like venomized Celestials, which is an absolutely crazy thing. So again, this is dope. Can't wait to, finally read this in January when it comes out. All right, now let's talk about a character over at DC who I think is really underutilized, but I think is really cool. And it was a good addition to Batman's family coming from, one of the best Batman writers, who was Scott Snyder. And that is Duke, or the Signal, right? The Signal wears a yellow costume. He is kind of a part of the Bat family, and he reigns over Gotham during the day, which is, what makes him unique, among other things. And we'll talk about that. But basically, he was introduced first as an unnamed child with a connection to Bruce Wayne in Batman 21. Duke Thomas was created by Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo and marks something of a new chapter in Batman's story. Duke is introduced as a young child whose family saved Bruce Wayne following the hurricane the Riddler caused in Gotham, and has heroic plans of his own, training his mind to go against the Riddler. Duke's path remains entwined with Batman, and in Batman Endgame, when he and his family is kidnapped by the Joker because of their connection to Bruce Wayne, and while Duke is saved by Batman, his parents, who have been infected by the Joker's pathogen, are left behind. Duke ends up in foster care, and Duke gets a chance to operate as a hero as part of a group called We Are Robin, supplied by Alfred Pennyworth in Batman's absence to fight for Gotham City. Eventually, Bruce approaches Duke and offers to train him, not as a Robin, but as something new entirely. All right, so there's your little backstory on who Duke Thomas is. But more importantly, Duke Thomas has some very interesting characteristics about him. Duke Thomas is actually a metahuman, and he has the ability to manipulate light. So he can make himself invisible using these abilities. He can see where light has been a few minutes ago, so he can kind of use this to analyze a crime scene, and he can even see where light particles may end up in the future, giving him a little bit of foresight, just barely into the future. And this is different than the rest of the Bat family, and it's unique. It's a unique power set, I think, and I really think this character could go somewhere if DC utilized this character more. I mean, remember, Scott Snyder, I think, is a genius in terms of Batman writing. So it was really cool to come up with this character that was a daytime hero for Gotham. A lot of people don't know, that there is one. And the fact that he can make himself invisible is perfect because he's wearing a bright yellow costume. So if you haven't read Batman and the Signal, it's a great comic to go back and read to see the origins of this character. But yeah, totally underutilized. And Gotham's daytime protector. I would love to see them do more with this character. All right, Magneto in the MCU. Okay, Ian McKellen's Magneto in the MCU. This has major implications. All right, we knew that Patrick Stewart was going to be in the MCU. We saw him in Multiverse of Madness, so no big surprise there that he's going to be in Avengers Doomsday. But Ian McKellen's Magneto, kind of crazy that he's going to be in Avengers Doomsday because he is an Omega level mutant and he is extremely powerful when he's around metal, which is what Doctor Doom has covered his entire body with. Doctor Doom's going to have a lot of issues with him. However, that said, people have to remember about Doctor Doom, he has contingency plans. He's kind of like Batman in a way, almost, where Batman is prepared for every single outcome. Remember, Mr. Fantastic's greatest strength isn't the fact that he can stretch, it's his mind. And I think that's Doom's most powerful weapon as well. Even though Doom can do magic, he has, an Iron Man suit basically on, kind of, this armor suit. He has all this technology. I think that Doom's greatest strength is his mind. Doom is one of the characters that actually has access to time travel, willingly has access to time travel in the comics because he is one of the few characters that has created his own time travel implementation. Be interesting to see if they do anything with time travel in this and what the TVA would have to say about that. But also now that I mentioned the TVA, I'm also excited to see where Loki cameos, because Loki will be in this movie in my opinion, and in Avengers Doomsday. But it may be just a projection of himself as he sits atop the MCU in Yggdrasil. But yeah, I think this article makes a lot of good points about Ian McKellen being in the MCU. But I think the main thing that they're trying to say is that although Magneto is extremely powerful against anyone who has metal, Doctor Doom will have contingency plans for all the heroes. Remember, this is going to be Doctor Doom's show. If you remember what happened in Secret Wars in the Jonathan Hickman run in the comics, it was all orchestrated by Doom, and Doom was like the main player, right? Doom was the main driver of that story. Doctor Doom in the comics is a character that can do almost anything. And also magic. He has magic on his side. You have to remember that as well. What you can do with magic, a strong magic wielder. I mean, look at Doctor Strange. How would Doctor Strange fare against Magneto? I don't know. Actually, that would be a really interesting battle to see. I think I would give the edge to Magneto, probably just because Magneto's raw strength is so crazy high. But if it was Magneto against Doom, I'd say Doom wins. Let me know in the comments what you think about, the implications of Magneto being in Avengers Doomsday are going to be. He's going to be one of the biggest players in that movie. I mean, he's going to be one of the most powerful, characters of anyone on either side, right? In that movie. So I just can't wait to see how it plays out with him. Like I said, I keep saying that over and over again, but it's true. I can't. The return of Ian McKellen's Magneto is going to be crazy. All right, what do we got next? Oh yeah, we're talking about Scott Snyder. Okay, and his Absolute Joker. So the Absolute Joker. Or let's start off with Absolute Batman. Absolute Batman has been absolutely amazing. I love the word absolutely. I've noticed that I use it a lot in my videos, and I don't care. I'm not coming back on it. It's been amazing. Absolutely amazing. And we've seen the Joker from, I think, the very first issue in that universe. Now, obviously, the Joker is going to take on a different form, as we can see in this image right here. But we're eventually leading up to the Joker coming into the Absolute universe, and it's going to be a really big deal. Now, we've seen this other form. We originally saw it first like this. Yeah, that's Nick Dragata's main cover art for Absolute Batman 15. That looks crazy. Also, I love that it looks like a playing card, because a Joker is a playing card. So I think this is perfect. And this character looks absolutely insane. I cannot wait to see this on the pages of Absolute Batman. It even has a tail. I mean, it looks like a devil of some kind. What Scott Snyder revealed is that in this article that I'm talking about, the lines that go over the top of the Joker's eyes are actually the continuation of its mouth. There are teeth in there. There's teeth. It won't let me make it any bigger. There we go. There's teeth inside of there. That is gross and also awesome at the same time. Now, this other picture that we got, I think this artist didn't exactly draw this right, even though this looks absolutely menacing, because really the red line should be connecting to his mouth. But it's still, it's still a crazy drawing of the Joker. And now that I'm zoomed in really closely, I can actually finally see it has the bat symbol in his eyes in green and pink. That is so funny. I did not realize that this entire time. What a little detail to add, putting the thick boy bat symbol from the Absolute Universe in the actual Joker's eyes. That's great. But yeah, Scott Snyder in this article talks about the implications of the Joker and reveals the fact that, these red lines going over the top of his head are teeth. And that is crazy. I cannot wait to see the Absolute, to see the Joker in Absolute Batman. I believe this, the issue with this cover is coming out December 10th, 2025. So, mark your calendars. This is going to be an insane issue. And, I'm not 100% caught up with Absolute Batman right now, but I will be by this point because I want to be caught up for when this issue comes out. I cannot wait to buy this. And I also think just because of this cover, this could be like a, kind of a good collectible, It's so clean. I love how it's a card and stuff. This is our first real look at this form of the Absolute Batman Joker. You're going to want a physical copy of this comic for sure. All right, so let's take a look at the new comics that are coming out November 12th, 2025. You've got Batman Hush 2. That is still going. I haven't been reading this, although I have heard that some people definitely didn't like the beginning of it. So let me know in the comments if you are still reading Hush 2 and what you're thinking of it so far. Transformers, this has been a great series. Everybody's been raving about this. Get out of here, ad. And so, new issue, that's great. That'll sell out, I'm sure. Ultimate Wolverine has been selling pretty well, I believe, as well. And come on, let's see, let's be honest. Wolverine is one of Marvel's big three, really. So that's very cool that that's coming out. A lot of this stuff here isn't going to be on my radar. That I'm not reading Action Comics, Ultimate Black Panther, or Fantastic Four, but those are coming out this week. I do want to read. I want to go back and read this ongoing Poison Ivy run that's going on because I think they're at like 35 issues. And the artwork for it looks really great, and I really love the character of Poison Ivy. I even have her first appearance right here. There she is, first ever Poison Ivy. So probably won't pick up this annual, but I am going to start reading Poison Ivy digitally and see if I can get caught up to where we are now. What else we got here? Batman and Robin, Batman Dark Patterns. This looks interesting. Who's number 12? Who's the author on this one? Is it going to tell me creators? Oh, Dan Waters and Hayden Sherman. Okay. All right. I actually didn't know about this comic. I'm definitely going to need to look into that. Spawn 370. Crazy that Spawn is still going. 370 issues. I have all, the first 4 or 5 Spawn compendiums, and I'm reading those. I've read a lot of Modern Spawn too. I'm not up to date on the latest stuff going on with Spawn, but Spawn is always a solid popcorn comic book, I would say. It's like going to see a Fast and Furious movie. It's like, what it's going to be, but you're in for it. That's what you want. You want some just crazy, badass stuff that you're going to see Spawn do, and really great art. Always really, really great art in the Spawn comic books. So it's never a bad pickup to pick up Spawn, I think. Supergirl looks like featuring Jeff the Shark. I saw recently at my comic book shop that there was like a random issue up on the shelf, and it was like for like, it was like, what was it, like $100 or $200 or something? And I asked the guy at the counter, I'm like, because I don't have every comic book key memorized, but like I know most of like the modern comic book keys like off the top of my head. If I see one, I can identify it, and I couldn't identify this one. And he goes, "Yeah, it's the first appearance of Jeff the Shark." And I was like, "Are you kidding me?" And just because of Marvel Rivals, Jeff the Shark. Actually, is that even Jeff the Shark? I'm not even sure, but this got me on a whole tangent about Jeff the Shark. But yeah, Jeff the Shark is like a big deal now, I guess, because of Marvel Rivals. Hey, which is great. Let's bring more characters to the forefront and make them popular. I love it. So, no complaints there. Let's see what else here. We got Green Lantern Corps, which I'm started reading, and I think is pretty good so far. Also, Corps is the dumbest word in the English language. CORPS. You don't say the last 2 letters. It's ridiculous. Mr. Terrific. I haven't been reading this, but that cover looks great. Let's see what we have here. The New Avengers, definitely interesting. I'm not reading anything here, but I'm just going to kind of scroll through. Let me know if you're reading anything as I kind of scroll through here. We're getting to the less significant comics now. Usually the most popular ones are listed first on this site. So if you see anything here that you are reading, I am reading this though, Gotham by Gaslight. This is a League for Justice or whatever. This is basically the steampunk version of Batman and the Justice League. This is really cool. If you're looking for a cool Elseworld comic, I would definitely look into reading that for sure. What else do we have here? Venom still going. The all new Venom or whatever. It looks like they changed the title. Grimm has been great. I need to pick this up and continue reading Grimm. I'm going to see if I can find it somewhere digitally, but I have the first 20 issues of Grimm, and I think it's a really great comic. I really like the writer, Stephanie Phillips, I believe that is. Now let's take a look at the omnibuses that are coming out. We've got X-Men by Al Ewing. I believe this is during the Krakoa period. Correct me if I'm wrong, please. We've got Our Worlds at War Omnibus Volume 1, Prelude to War. This is from an interesting period in comics for Superman. This is like 2000s, and I don't know if it's my favorite Superman content, but I'm not that familiar with, I've read a little bit of it, but I'm not that familiar with this saga. So if you have read this and you do think it's good, please let me know in the comments so I can kind of go back to that and keep reading. Blade Runner and Death Star are not really on my radar. We have I believe this is a reprint of, is this a reprint or is this the first printing of Incredible Hulk Volume 3? I'm not sure. I think I have Volume 1 and 2 already out in my omnibus collection. I'm not sure if this is a reprint or not. And then, it doesn't show a cover, but Batman Die, James Tynion IV. So James Tynion's run, Volume 1, solid, modern Batman run. I think that's pretty good. And that's it for omnibuses coming out this week. All right, that's it for today's comic book news. If there's anything I left out, please leave a comment and let me know. It's always good to get feedback from the audience, and it helps me make better videos in the future. And like always, thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe.